All right, let's get underway. This is the Historic Preservation Commission meeting for the city of Davenport, Tuesday, September the 12th. Can I have the call of order, please?
McGivern.
Here.
Franken.
Here.
Miranda.
Here.
Powers. Hustetti.
Here.
Kretz.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And we have Secretary's report. I need consideration of the August 8th, 2023 meeting minutes.
I move approval of the minutes as written.
A second.
It's a motion and a second to approve as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Takes us to item number 3, communications.
We have a few items for you today. So there is one more Heart of the Downtown Davenport Architectural Styles and Stories walking tour. That will be Saturday, October 21st at 10 a.m. It is free to the public, but there is registration required. Reminder that this Sunday is the porch party over at the Butterworth Center and Dear Wyman House. They had come last meeting and asked if someone would be able to do the roundtable discussion on the commissions. And that's all I have. Michael and I did the Party in the Park over, thank you, over at the Garfield Park, and it was a great night, and we were able to promote both the walking tour as well as the porch party events, and had some great conversations with people. That's all I have.
All right. This takes us, we have no old business. This takes us to new business. Case number COA 23-26. Request to reconstruct the front stoop at 613 West 6th Street. Isaac and Mary Farber House is located in the local Hamburg Historic District. Lenny DeSantiago is the petitioner. Staff?
Okay, so before you see the house on the left, and then kind of a situation where it's located here in the yellow along the street. The porch that is being requested to be reconstructed is right here. A little bit about the Isaac and Mary Farber House. It was built in 1868 as a one-story brick home. They did an addition in 1921 to make a second story and converted it into a 3-unit dwelling. Then again in 1945, it was converted into five apartments, and then again in 1950 into 7 apartments. So here's some additional photos. As with many houses in the Hamburg Historic District, it's on the bluff, so the south side of the house actually looks much taller, and that's one of the photos from its original listing on the right. Here's an up-close photo of the stoop in question. It is in significant need of reconstruction. So it is made out of red brick concrete steps. It has a metal railing, and then along the stoop here are the utility meters on the west side. So in terms of project scope, the petitioner plans to dig below the frost line for footings, compact gravel and pour footings, install 8-inch concrete masonry units on inside as main structure, install new brick to match existing dimensions minus the final height. The final height will match the stone threshold, so it will be slightly higher, and that's actually a building code requirement. The poured concrete for pad and stairs stops to match the original dimensions. They will wash the masonry with detergent, refurbish and reinstall the existing railing, reinstall the utility meters on the west face of the stoop, construct a concrete sidewalk from the stoop to the city sidewalk, and the sidewalk will have a brush finish to it. Will match existing dimensions. So for the staff is recommending that the certificate of appropriateness be approved to reconstruct the front stoop at 613 West 6th Street in accordance with the submitted materials. In reviewing this application, it was found to be in conformance with the standards for review in Chapter 14.01.060C and D. Every reasonable effort shall be made to make the minimum number of changes necessary to maintain a designated property in a good state of repair. And deteriorated architectural features should, where possible, be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement, the new feature shall match the old in design, color, texture, and visual qualities.
Anyone from the commission have questions for staff? Does the petitioner in attendance, do you have any questions for the commission? All right. We have a recommendation, staff recommendation before us. I need a recommendation from the commission.
I move to accept the recommendation and approve the reconstruction of the front stoop as in accordance with the submitted materials.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Franken,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Hustetti,
Yes.
Kretz,
Yes.
and McGivern.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Good luck. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
This takes us to case number COA 23-27, request to tuck point and repair masonry at 301
Thank you, guys.
Street. The Davenport Bag and Paper Company building is locally listed a historic landmark in the Davenport Motor Row and Industrial Historic District. Peterson HTC LLC is a petitioner. Staff?
This building was built in 1907 by G.A. Hansen and D.J. Harfts. It's a concrete construction technique. It's the first fire-resistant high-rise building in the city of Davenport. In terms of history of tenants, it was originally the Davenport Bag and Paper Company, which then changed to the Peterson Paper Company in 1940, and then was converted into 23 units and is called the Peterson Paper Lofts currently. In terms of scope of work, they're doing some masonry tuck pointing on the building. So it would be demo and relay blocks in the Peter sign area and repaint when complete so that the signage would still be there. That's the green circle here. Fix the lintel directly under the sign area above the window. Replace the 3 to 4 stones above the sign on the windowsill. Replace all 3 lintels on the 3 windows on the bottom row, front of building. Replace block area above windows and replace remaining stone under the windowsills. There was a mortar analysis done back in 2013 and sample collected from the south elevation, which is the same elevation where this work will be taking place. Basically, the findings of that mortar analysis is that the mortar is similar to a type M, which is what the petitioner is planning on using for the masonry work. So staff is making a recommendation to approve the certificate of appropriateness to tuck point and repair the masonry at 301 East 2nd Street in accordance with the submitted materials. Subject that the replacement masonry shall replicate the old in material and design, color, texture, and visual qualities. This project was reviewed in conformance with the standards for review. The project meets the 3 criteria below. So every reasonable effort shall be made to make the minimal changes necessary to maintain a good state of repair. Deteriorated architectural features should, where possible, be repaired rather than replaced. And activities that cause deterioration of the designated property and its architectural features shall be discouraged in those cases where damage would be irreversible, such as sandblasting and wet sandblasting. Fire-hardened bricks if the activity shall be prohibited. If cleaning is done, the gentlest means possible shall be encouraged.
Okay. Does anyone from the commission have any questions for staff?
I do have a question on the materials that were shared. Extensive, pages and pages and pages of material. I learned more about Hanson than I think I ever really wanted to know, and San Diego was so lucky to get him, I guess. But I was curious, starting on page 71 through 76, there was a section dealing with demolition. And I thought maybe I missed something in this. Is there something that's going to be demolished?
So they are removing the bricks, and so from the eyes of the city, that is demolition work.
Okay.
But they are going to be replacing in kind with what they're demolishing.
And that's why that section was in there, not that we have to approve that you're going to tear the building down.
Right, right.
All right, very good. Thank you. That's my only question.
All righty. We've got a recommendation in front of us.
I recommend we approve based on the standards given.
Have a motion and a second. Can a roll call, please?
Miranda,
Yes.
Fustetti,
Yes.
Kretz,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Franken.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. This will take us to item number C. Case number COA 23-28, request to relocate the ADA ramp into building, add building signage, and improve the overall street presence at the Davenport Public Library, 321 Main Street. The Davenport Public Library, Edward Dorrell Stone Building, is a locally listed historic landmark in the Davenport Commercial Historic District. Liggett Architects, on behalf of the Davenport Library, is petitioner.
Zach, if you want to come over here. So while Zach's getting situated, a little bit about this building. It was built in 1968 by, and designed by Edward Dorrell Stone. Its construction is poured concrete and precast block construction. This is the only Dorrell Stone building in state of Iowa, and is an example of the new formalism architectural style. The black railing along Main Street was added in the 1990s to discourage skateboarding. So the scope, as stated in the subject, is to relocate ADA ramp to be closer to the front door, add some building signage, and then improve the overall street presence. So this is just a discussion item today. So they're looking for some feedback from the commission, and then would come back at hopefully the October meeting if they're able to make that for a formal review by the commission. So I have Zach Campbell here with Ligat, who can take you through some of the options.
You're on stage.
All right, good evening. So we have, you should have 4 options in front of you. The first page that you see is the current existing building as it stands today. I also printed off, there should be 4 images in a little packet just to give you an idea of what the building looks like today too. I'm always a visual person, so having stuff like this in front of me is always a good thing. So if you could go to the next page. What we're really looking at here is just some general direction and to gauge the commission's, I guess, opinion on what you guys are going to be comfortable with moving forward for a design process. So we've been working with the library on coming up with some exterior improvements. They're really wanting to look at moving that ADA entry from where it's located now, which is just to the, yep, right there. So it's about 50 feet away from the current main entry. We want to get that relocated to be more central to the actual main entry and kind of give it an actual presence and let people know, hey, this is where you actually can enter the building. And then another thing we want to add is building signage. Right now they have small black lettering on that column there right in front that just says library. So we proposed 3 different sign options. And keep in mind when you're looking at these options, we tried to come up with the big picture, just pie in the sky type of ideas. We came up with a big pillar sign, something a little more modest, and then something a little kind of just trying to think outside the box, if you will, for building signage. And then the last one was rethinking how that railing was done back in the 90s to deter skateboarding. Right now, there's a lot of loitering that happens in front of the library. So we're trying to think of ways to creatively deter loitering and make the building more pleasing to the eye and in that regard. So this first option that you see, what we're proposing is a large monumental sign there on the corner of 4th and Main Street. This is disconnected from the building, but it is a large pillar that is right there in front of the building, right at that corner. The fence would be removed, and we are proposing putting metal angles along the wall. The area where the ADA entry is right now would be the bike rack location. So relocating that from where it is now, which I believe is right where the sign is, and putting that kind of in front of the window there. And then relocating the ADA entry down to the center. This option, we have a ramp on the north side with stairs on the south side. And then a staircase right there on the west side going directly into the library. And then on the southern portion of the west side, we have a little Quad City art pad. The library is really interested in providing a pad for a sculpture, like those sculptures you see around the Quad Cities. And then, go ahead and go to the next. Thank you. Here's just some exterior renderings of what that could potentially look like. So you see the monumental side there on the left. And then there on the right image is just an image of the ramp with the staircase. This option is a little asymmetrical, so it doesn't really fit with the overall look and feel of the building being a very symmetrical building. And then you can see the art pad there in the back, and we just temporarily put in the library's logo as a sculpture for now. Option 2, what we have is this is the sign is now elongated down 4th Avenue Street. Sorry. And there are individual books that align with the windows. And this is planning for the future as well, with the idea of 4th becoming a two-way road in the future. It would spell library facing one way and would spell library facing the other way on the books. And then instead of that big monumental sign there at the corner, we're proposing a book stack sculpture there at the corner. The bike rack location would instead be where the Quad City art pad is, and then the bike station would be a little further down there in front of those windows. And then there at the center, we have, I can't see that far away. We have the ADA ramp still going there, but instead of the steps on the south side, we have a ramp on the south side, so it's symmetrical. So you have a ramp on the north side and on the south side, and then steps coming up directly from the west side straight into the building. And then instead of that zigzaggy black railing that's there now, we would propose to install just a small, but probably about the same height fence railing along the front face of that, the current retaining wall that's there. And then if you could go to the next one. And then these are just a couple of images. So there on the left, you see the library sign in the form of books. We're thinking these books could have author names on the sides or book names on the sides. And then there's that little book sculpture there on the corner, and then you can see the fence running down the west side there, and then on that right image, you can see the 2 ramps, and then the staircase going up into the center. Can we go to the next one?
That's all I had.
Oh, that's all you had? Okay. I realized after I had sent this over that there was 2 pages that were listed as option 2. So I apologize. Do you have? Do you have 4 sheets in front of you by chance?
I do have a question.
Okay.
In option 1, to me, that is the only drawing that shows 2 streets being able to observe the sign saying Davenport Library, because it's right on the corner, so you get the one-way street. We'll see the sign and also the adjoining street to the one-way.
Yep.
But in the others, I see that you only see it from one street. Is that correct?
Correct, but we can add additional signage.
Okay. Well, I'm always thinking of myself in a one-way where in a city I haven't been or a place I haven't been and trying to locate what is that building and where is it? So,
I don't have the other one. I apologize, I didn't put all of them in the slide, but you, they have them all.
You have
If
them
you,
all?
yeah, they have them, so if you want to just,
Do you have
Yeah,
this page here? They look more like planter beds.
right, yeah, we have that.
You have this one?
Yep.
So this
Yes.
option,
That's
yes.
Option 1 and option 2, right?
yeah. And then there's
We
a
have
third
another
option,
two.
option 3, that I accidentally labeled as option 2 as well.
Okay. The second option.
Oh,
There's 2 option 2s, so I apologize for
okay.
that confusion.
Say, Zach,
Yes.
I'm looking at the option 1, the pillar, as it is in the image, looks as though it is away from the building. So that if one were traveling west on 4th Street, one would see that other side. And would the Davenport Public Library be on that side as well? Will the lettering be all the way around, all 4 sides?
Oh, on all 4 sides? Yeah, we could put it on all 4 sides. I think right now we're only showing it on the north and the west, but we could certainly put it on the east.
Right, right.
And the
I
south
think
side,
Diane's
too.
comment was if you're traveling down, right now, it's one way, the back side.
Right.
So I think definitely you want to have it there.
Okay.
And if you're coming up Main Street, it would be nice to see it there. Of the 3 options, for what it's worth, I like this one because it gives us the whole thing. Davenport Public Library, not just library, but the whole thing.
yeah.
Also, it's large, so it's pretty hard to miss. And it kind of echoes we have out in front of the Figgy. Is it the Solowit square column? So we have something going here in Davenport if we build this obelisk sort of thing.
Okay.
So anyway, but I like that one, of those that we have. And also, I prefer the ADA ramps that are symmetrical, on both sides.
Okay.
I think the challenge I've observed with the kind of the column mammoth type things is that if the material, it can just kind of like not click with the building itself. Have you ever seen it? They're just almost out of error.
Yep.
You know, where you got early, late, mid-60s, and then 2023. And so I think, one, it would be material would be really important appearance. If you were to do that type of, because you're really taking it up, so it's going to catch the eye, and that's going to compare the signage to the building, and I'm not necessarily sure that's a good thing.
Yep.
So I guess that would be my only observation.
Okay.
Because you could always see, present day with 1970 doesn't always work.
Right. Correct.
Now, was this designed by the Kennedy Center architect, or is it in his style?
It's the
This
same.
is the same.
It was the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, it's the same as the Kennedy Center. Yeah.
Thank you.
So if you have that option 2 that has there's a note that says raised planter beds.
Yeah.
I can talk through that one really quick too. So this was our third option. Instead of the large monumental sign, we have the more modest linear sign, horizontal sign that says library with the library logo. The size of that logo and the size of the lettering can change. The logo could go away if needed. I know somebody had mentioned they like the Davenport Public Library. That could easily be added there. Instead of the current zigzag fence, we're proposing raised planter beds. We're thinking these would be about 2 feet high, and we'd be able to put some nice plantings in there during the summertime, spring, summer, and fall time. The bike station would get relocated towards that second window bay from the north there. We're proposing keeping these ADA ramps as symmetrical there, with the staircase going up to the center, and then the QC art pad would again be down there at the towards the southern end. Right now, that's like right behind the circulation desk inside, and then we have a second sign on the Main Street side that just helps signify that this is the library. And again, that could read, Davenport Public Library along there if needed, or that can be adjusted.
Just a couple of observations on the planter box. I mean, first of all, operational perspective wise, I mean, I think that would be a concern that you'd have to factor in, because they can also, with the activity that we have on that block in that area, they could become ashtrays, they could become a lot of other nuisances that, the public government's gonna have to deal with. And it's also kind of creates a barrier to what is designed as a grand open space, right?
Yep. Yeah, I could see that. If we looked at lowering those even further, do you think that would help with the overall design?
Your design in your option number one gives you a lot of opportunities. If you might want to think of some options on signage. Your whole design, you've got signage and designs, and I don't think they have to be connected,
Correct.
right? I personally find that option one very appealing, because it's centralized the access, and it still allows that broad opening type deal. I'm not a fan of the signage part of it, but, that's just a personal, I don't think there's anything historical one way or the other, as long as they match up well.
Okay. Taking the materiality into account, like you had mentioned earlier, matching the existing building as best as possible, or complementing it as best as possible.
Yeah.
I think, in keeping with the symmetry of the building, having signs on both sides in the front would be nice. This just seems well, the one does have a sign on the southwest corner, but the other ones all seem oriented to 4th Street so much more, and I just feel like that would balance the front of the building. And I do like the ramps that are symmetrical.
Okay.
I think it looks more like they're supposed to be there, and not, we added these as an afterthought.
Yep.
And it just seems more welcoming, I think, with the ramps, the 2 and the symmetrical.
We were hoping you picked that one, so.
Anybody else?
Yeah. I do like the idea of having planters of some kind out there, but I also don't like how they block, like you mentioned. I like the openness. I would suggest as an idea, and I don't know how it would look, but where you have the 6 rectangular posts along, is it Main?
Yeah.
Do the same with some type of planter, like just a square planter off of each post out towards the street, something like that, and get rid of everything round, because everything is elongated, rectangular, or square. And just to kind of keep the
Keep the rhythm.
keep the rhythm going that way. And yeah, and I like everyone else has said, I also like the symmetry of the ADA ramps on both sides.
Okay.
Just a thought. And it also ties into the current logo too.
Very good.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you. This is more of a fact-finding mission and trying to figure out which direction we want to go before we get too far down the rabbit hole. So this gives us a lot of information. So I appreciate the comments and feedback, and hopefully we'll be back in front of you here in October.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, that will take us to other business. We have a review of the commission bylaws. Laura?
Okay, based off of last month's discussion, there was interest in providing term limits, thank you very much, for the officer's position. So I know there had been a question on term limits period on the commission members, and it's been recommendation not to do that because the commissions themselves are held by ordinance. So the highlighted language here are the changes that we've made based off of feedback from the last meeting. So in section A, the second regular meeting of the calendar year, so February would be the actual vote for officers. And then we have that language, however, a commissioner shall serve no more than 2 consecutive terms as chair or vice chair. That doesn't mean the current chair couldn't be vice chair and the vice chair couldn't be chair. It's just to give the opportunity to other people to serve. That would be the proposed language associated with that. And then we added nominations will be held at the first regular meeting of the calendar year. So nominations in January and then elections in February.
When I read this, I like that you didn't say January, February, because as we've experienced this year, there were times when we did not meet. So the first regular meeting of the calendar year, we're going to have our nominations, whether that's January, February, or March. And then the following regular meeting will be the election. That's what that's saying. Am I correct?
Yes, and
That
typically we
works.
will end up meeting in January. We have, it's fairly regular. If we had no other business, it would purely be for the certified local government report and work plan. So likely, unless something catastrophic happened, we would meet in January, but we wouldn't necessarily meet in February. So it's depending on business. So you could, in theory, have the elections in March instead of February if we have no other business.
Anyone else from the commission? What I would like to be able to do is have this up for a vote next meeting. Christine's not here, and she worked on this a lot, and so I would want her to have the opportunity to be here to vote on it as well. So you haven't had any other feedback from any of the commissioners?
No.
Whatsoever? So is that okay with the commission to have this on for a vote?
Yes.
Item, next commission meeting? All right. And we'll make sure Christine's aware of that as well.
Okay.
All right.
I had one other question on the documents that
Sure.
were sent out. This was all fine, but then as I was reading deeper in, we still had the bylaws, Article 2, membership 9 members.
Yep, so those
And
were,
then chapter 2.65.030, component 7 members.
yep.
Are we in the process of getting that stuff cleaned up?
So what you're seeing is the background information to the item. So we did include the existing bylaws, which say 9, and the code section that creates this Historic Preservation Commission, which says 7. So it is 7. So that was the last pages after the proposed bylaws are for reference based off of what's already currently existing, so, yeah.
And so at some point then, Article 2 will be adjusted to 7.
So once you get past the draft section in this, well, everything after that is current and won't exist anymore. So whatever gets adopted next month, then those will go into the archive as previous bylaws, and so they
Okay.
won't list it anymore.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're all good at for next month? Perfect. Thank you, Laura, for your work on that. That takes us to the open forum for comment. Anyone from the public who would like to address the commission? Seeing no one, we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.